It's time for Recipe of the Day. Did you know that classic Italian Alfredo sauce is just made with Parmesan cheese, butter, and pasta water? It is nothing like the roux-based, like flour and butter, cream and Parmesan sauce that you get at Italian American restaurants like Olive Garden. Completely different from that. And yet still different from that is the recipe that I'm telling you about today, which is for the easiest Alfredo sauce. And this one is made with cream cheese. So instead of doing that like roux with the flour and butter and cream cheese as the base melted together, which you can even do in the microwave. Like you can make this sauce in the microwave instead of on the stove. So it's just like super, super easy, but so creamy and good. Okay, so whether you are doing this in the microwave or on the stove, the ingredients you need are just butter, cream cheese, garlic, either fresh garlic or garlic powder, but I do think the fresh is better here. But you know, when you're in a pinch, it is great. You also need salt and pepper and milk. The recipe calls for white pepper. That's quite traditional when doing like a white sauce like this. But if you don't have white pepper, do not go and buy it, especially for this. Just use regular black pepper. It'll have little flecks of black in there, but that's totally fine. So the ingredients are the same, whether you are doing this on the stove or the microwave. I will tell you how to do it on the stove, and then I will tell you how to do it in the microwave. Oh, and either way that you make it, this makes about 3 cups of sauce, which is going to be just the right amount for a 1-pound box of dried pasta, like linguine, fettuccine, whichever of those, 1-pound box that you're going to cook according to package directions, and then you're just going to add the full batch of the sauce, okay? Okay, so doing it on the stove, you're going to use a medium saucepan set over medium heat, and you're adding in a 1/2 cup of unsalted butter. That's 1 stick of butter. If you have salted butter, don't worry, just put a little bit less salt later on in the instructions. And then you're doing 1 8-ounce package of cream cheese. Cut that into small cubes first. Cut the butter up as well, and then they're going to melt more quickly, right? And you're also going in with 4 cloves of garlic that you've minced up. So that's all in that saucepan. If you are doing garlic powder instead, it's going to be 2 teaspoons. I know, a lot of garlic, but we really want this to have a nice, strong, garlicky Alfredo flavor, right? Okay, so now that is in your medium saucepan over a medium heat, and you stir it just until the butter and cream cheese has fully melted and kind of come together. Then you're adding 8 ounces of shredded Parmesan cheese. I'm saying shredded. I want you to either buy a wedge and shred it yourself or buy the shredded Parmesan. You don't want that crumbled Parmesan that's in the shelf-stable area. That's not going to melt into the sauce the right way. I think it'll probably taste fine, but I don't think it melts in the same way. You know what I mean? So get the Parmesan cheese from the refrigerated section of the grocery store, and then you're going to be better there. And the shreds, you then know for sure that it is real Parmesan cheese and not some mixture of other things, right? And I just want to be clear that when I say 8 ounces, I am using the weight, right? Not volume 8 ounces. And that's just because when you shred up Parmesan cheese, depending on how finely you shred it, the volume is going to end up being different. So we don't want to use a measuring cup to 8 ounces. Instead, you're looking at your package and going by the weight given on there. So it's already shredded. It's going to tell you how much it weighs. If you've got a wedge, it tells you how much that wedge weighs. And then, you know, if the wedge is 8 ounces, you're fine. If it's a full pound, if it's 16 ounces, then you need about half of it. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so you've added your shredded Parmesan cheese to the butter and cream cheese garlic mixture. You're also adding a 1/2 teaspoon of salt and 1/8 of a teaspoon of white pepper or whatever kind of pepper that you have. And you're going to stir that just until the Parmesan is melted, still over medium heat. And once the cheese is melted, reduce it down to low. And then you continue to stir while slowly drizzling in 1 cup of milk. Now you can use fat-free milk or whole milk or anything in between here. That's going to be fine. I haven't tried this with a dairy-free milk, but there's so much other dairy in here that I'm not sure that it makes sense to use oat milk or something, you know? I guess I'm saying this is not a dairy-free recipe, so I haven't tried it with non-dairy milk. So over low heat, you're drizzling in the 1 cup of milk, and you just keep stirring until it's very hot and steaming and very smooth. And then you take it off the heat and just let it sit for a couple minutes. It's going to thicken up even more. Give it a taste. Add more salt and pepper if you'd like. And then that's when you add it to your cooked pasta. Again, it was 1 pound of dried pasta that you then cook up and then drain. And then I like to put the pasta back into the pot that it was cooked in and then add the sauce to there because there's more room to move everything around and coat coat it well. Okay, so then for the microwave, you're going to get out a medium-sized microwave-safe bowl, and you're going to add a half cup of butter and an 8-ounce package of cream cheese, both of those cut into small pieces, and your 4 cloves of garlic that you've minced up, or 2 teaspoons of garlic powder. And then you put that in the microwave and heat it for 1 minute on regular high power. And then you give it a little stir, and then stir in the 1 cup of Parmesan cheese, a half teaspoon of salt, and your 1/8 of a teaspoon of pepper. Give that a little stir, and then also add in the 1 cup of milk. Put that back into the microwave. Don't worry about stirring it too much. It's not going to really combine that great right at this point. And you're putting it in for 1 minute, and then you're taking it out and stirring. And then you do that again, 1 minute, and then take it out and stir. And you just keep doing that 1 minute and then stirring until the sauce isn't really stringy, but has more of a smooth texture. Then you know that the Parmesan is really melted in. It's about 2 to 4 minutes in the microwave like that. Before I wrap up, I'm just going to say that if you don't like Parmesan cheese or you don't have Parmesan cheese, for either of these versions, you can use whatever kind of cheese you like as long as it's like a melting kind of cheese, like shredded cheddar, Monterey Jack, or mozzarella. Those are going to be great. Colby would also be really good. And I will also say that if you want to use this as a dip instead of a sauce, I'm actually going to be telling you about a very similar dip, because when I was making this and trying to get the amount of milk just right for the sauce, I realized that less milk turned it into a really good dip. So there is a recipe for a like Parmesan garlic dip coming your way, and it's essentially the same as this recipe, but it uses a half cup of milk instead of the full cup of milk. And you just get that little bit thicker thing that you can go and dip some bread in. You know, when you go to like Olive Garden and you have the breadsticks and you order a side of Alfredo sauce to dip, like that. Okay, I will put the link to this recipe in the show notes for this podcast episode, or you can head to cookthestory.com/ROTD and get it there. And if you want more episodes like this, go to your favorite podcast app, whether that is Apple Podcasts, YouTube, anything like that, and search for Recipe of the Day, and you will find me there. Subscribe, follow, and leave a rating and review. Some podcast apps let you do that. That lets other people who love cooking podcasts know that the show is good and that they should listen as well. Thank you so much. I'm Christine Pittman from cookthestory.com, thecookful.com, the all-new chicken cookbook, and from this podcast, Recipe of the Day. I hope you have a great day. Let's get cooking.